Tell me a little bit about the digital prism. I mean, I know we've been talking about Klera, and I just want to understand, tell the audience about that digital
So
prism.
the digital prism is what we're marketing, what digital clarity does.
Okay,
So
okay.
when you decide to partner with Digital Clarity, the first
Mm-hmm,
thing we're going to do as partners of Klera and official
mm-hmm,
resellers of Klera, we will
mm-hmm.
install the Klera base engine wherever you
Right.
like us to, whether it be on
Mm-hmm,
premise or in your cloud environment.
mm-hmm.
Then we will put the digital prism on top of Klera so that you have
Right.
the ability to run the video analytics. It's simply a way
Ah,
to differentiate Klera from the thing that Digital Clarity does.
I understand. I understand. I understand. So, talking about digital clarity, are you solely focused on video analytics? Is that what you, I mean, you've got a big market, as I understand you just explained, but are you solely focused on video analytics?
No, because we're partnered with Klera and
Mm-hmm,
resellers, there
mm-hmm.
are, there may be opportunities where people are not interested in necessarily video analytics because that is a
Mm-hmm.
value add. So you can buy
Right.
Klera without the digital prism, and we're
Got
still
you.
able to help you implement and get the data points that you're looking for.
Okay,
Um,
so I understand different situations would warrant different lead times, but
yes,
maybe just give me one example of something, just to base it upon in terms of the speed to value.
I would be able to comfortably say that within 2 weeks, we would be able to solve most use cases.
Wow, that is lightning speed for corporate. That's
Yeah.
really lightning speed.
And
That
and
is
when
really lightning speed. Warp
and
speed. Let's say warp speed.
and when Mike is factoring that in, Mike is
Mhm.
taking into account because Mike comes from a very rich background of enterprise problems at scale, right?
Yes, yeah.
And that's where he's bringing that timeline into the picture. But when it comes to the video analytics itself, if you just take a
Yes,
solitary video stream, then
right.
that can be done literally in minutes, right? Because as
Yes,
the system
understand.
processes the video, it starts to generate the outcome, right?
Right.
And then when you have, depending on the use case, as you rightly said, you can have anywhere from something that can solve within a day, right?
Yeah,
Depending on the nature of the data,
yeah.
versus something very complex that can take up to 2 weeks, right? And when
Got
I
you.
say complexity and what Mike is referring to, you're talking about 7, 8 different data sources coming from
Right.
various or departments within an organization, and
Hmm.
factoring in the time that sometimes it takes to get connectivity to those data sources in itself, right? I
Yes,
mean, imagine if
access.
yeah, access, exactly. Now you're in a government
Totally no.
agency,
Yeah,
right? And you're
yeah.
like let's say, the CXO of the city of,
Hmm.
let's say, Cincinnati, for example. Now,
Right.
getting data from law enforcement, you just don't pick up the phone and it comes in minutes,
No,
right?
no.
So there are
Couple
those
of
challenges.
procedures.
Exactly. There are forms to be filled, there's IT security accesses, protocols to be dealt with. And
Yes.
when you put that package together in a couple of weeks, even though it's a complex use case, you can bring things together, right?
Exactly. I mean, to be fair to most solution houses, we know that the client is the one that usually is the biggest drag on the lead time. So
Yeah, and
from
and
the
it's
internal
it's more the
procedures.
processes that the
Yeah,
clients have to deal with rather than the individual client is always excited because they want to see something
right,
now if they've bought something.
right,
It's more
right,
about overcoming the internal barriers that they have to before they can see light at the end of the tunnel, right?
right,
But
right,
just to put it in perspective, when data is freely available, access is not an
right.
issue. For example, Mike and his team were able to solve a social media analytics use case where data is out
Right.
in the public domain for a
Hmm.
university in a matter of an hour or less, right? Because they could
Wow.
literally take hashtags or Twitter handles or whatever that the university
Hmm.
was dealing with and generate an outcome, right? Now those are all
Amazing.
best case scenarios, and then you have
Right.
the other extreme.
So
Interesting, highly interesting. Now, I wanted to touch on one last point, because we understand that it is a new and evolving area. We know who the formal players are, like you said, in the surveillance space. But you did say that you're not the only one on the market. So I'm talking about in your space. So how do what makes you guys so much more unique than the competition in this space?
well, I mentioned that we don't have proprietary hardware.
Okay.
That's one thing. Whereas certain companies may come to you and say, "Oh, we're going to land. We're going to give you this set of servers that'll do all this other processing for you, and
Right.
we have our cameras that will come and hook up for you, and all it has is all this firmware going on." And then once they have it installed, depending on the company, they may not be able to focus where you need to focus. So, for example,
Got you.
We're able to pick up things that are ambient. So I see behind you, you have a bookcase there, whereas
Right.
their solution may only be able to pick up your face.
Ah, got you.
Right. There may be music playing behind you as you're speaking. We'll be able to pick up the music as well as what you're saying. It will only be able to pick up what you're saying. So it's the surroundings that bring the context to the interactions. Everything, all of these use cases that we're bringing out are about interactions. Because that's really what it is. And without having the proper context, the interactions may be misconstrued.
Exactly. And I mean, just, as an avid data person, we're always talking about getting to the point of contextualizing the data, bringing it into context, having it rich and linked, and definitely with video and all the different elements around my head right now in the background, and in the background by you would want to, afterwards be able to analyze that and bring it into your insight bucket so that you would know all of those different elements. So that's very, very powerful. And gentlemen, I want to say this has been a highly interesting conversation, introducing the audience to an area, again, of even more data that we can curate and bring into the fold in terms of giving citizens, organizations, and individuals, and of course, governments, insights and the ability to have truly actionable data from all sorts of different sources. So I want to thank you for your contribution today. It's been highly exciting.